Hi, this is Josh with Resort TV 1, and today I'm bringing you some major Walt Disney World Resort Hotel news and updates. We hope you enjoy the video. Yesterday, Disney announced some major updates to when the resorts will be opening, which resorts are opening, as well as some major policies and procedures that will be in place when those resorts open. One of the most major is that resort guests will not necessarily be guaranteed admission into the parks. And we'll touch on that here just a little bit more a bit later. But before we get into all that, please be sure that you're subscribed to Resort TV 1. Go ahead and click that red subscribe button right below the video. Also, click the notification bell and change it to all notifications so that you get notified every time we go live or have a new video. Also, be sure to follow us on social media. We're Resort TV 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So, let's get started. And as I said before, Disney's updated their policies, procedures, and some of the rules that will be governing the opening of their resort hotels on June 22nd. So let's take a look at those things right now. So you can see there, this is directly from their website, and we will be linking this down below so that you can review it yourself. We're not going to go over everything on this page because there's a lot of information on this update page that they just posted yesterday, which was on Saturday. First of all, what you'll see here is they're reminding you that if you're traveling to Florida, please be sure to check that official Florida COVID-19 site just to see if there are any travel restrictions or quarantine orders. And then you're also going to see two major updates in that if you want to visit a Walt Disney World Resort hotel, you can't just walk in and say, I want to see the resort, or I want to walk around, I want to just go hang out. You know, we do enjoy doing that, and I think a lot of people around the local area like to do that. And, you know, we'll eat at the food court and things like that, but that's not going to be possible, at least now during the initial reopening period. A confirmed room reservation for your stay is going to be required, or a dining reservation for day guests. So you can see there, you're going to have one of those two things to get into the resort, which I think is actually a really good thing because they need to keep the crowd levels down in the resorts as much as possible to keep everybody safe. And as expected, face coverings are going to be required for guests 2 and up. Have to be worn in all public areas. Of course, you wouldn't have to wear it in your room or anything like that, but you definitely need to have it on in the public areas. But then here's the big one. Of course, when the parks open, starting on July 11th, you'll need your park reservation and valid admission. And that park reservation is the big deal because I think a lot of people thought that Disney Resort hotel guests would be just automatically given reservations for entry into the park, and then they'd have their ticket and they'd be good to go. But you can see there in parentheses, and this is from Disney's official website, Walt Disney World Resort Hotel reservation does not guarantee theme park access. So just because you have the reservation at the resort hotel doesn't mean that you'll be able to visit the theme parks every day you're there. So this is definitely going to be a point of contention for a lot of people, and definitely make people maybe think twice about coming down until some of these restrictions are lifted, or it may just make people really pay attention to the reservation process, and hopefully everybody that's staying in a resort will be able to get in. But definitely it does very clearly state that just because you have a reservation and you're staying at a resort does not mean you're guaranteed admission into the parks. So that's something to really pay attention to. If you're planning on coming down anytime in July or August when the parks are just getting opened back up, definitely make sure that you pay close attention to how the reservation system is going to work, and make sure you get reservations for the days that you'd like to visit the parks while you're here at Walt Disney World. And of course, you definitely need to have that latest version of the My Disney Experience app, as well as all the cashless and contactless forms of payment. Those magic bands are so important. So that's the first set of updates to Walt Disney World Resort hotels. And then other things on the website that I wanted to highlight, of course, the wellness screening. There, it looks like they're asking people to check temperatures before you leave home. It doesn't say if they'll be checking them there at the resort as they will be in the parks or before you enter the parks, and as they're doing at Universal and at Disney Springs right now. But it does say that you need to do that and just make sure that you're not sick, basically. Common sense stuff there. It does also talk about some of the other benefits that resort hotel guests can enjoy. I think it looks like Magical Express will still be offered, but FastPass Plus was actually suspended, and they're going to be using the additional queue space to manage capacity. So that's just a little bit of an update there. And of course, no extra magic hours. That is unavailable until further notice because they're going to have reduced hours so that they can manage crowds as well as cleaning and things like that around the parks. So those are some resort benefits that are changed, or some of them are the same, like the Magical Express service is still offered. So, but definitely make sure that you check with your airline. A lot of airlines have modified those flight schedules, so that's something else you're going to definitely want to check with and make sure everything is still in order. Another big update here is about transportation. There's still going to be bus transportation between the resorts and Disney Springs as expected, because from June 22nd all the way to July 11th, the only thing that's going to be open, besides a few select resorts, is going to actually be Disney Springs. So that's one of those things that you just need to realize that that's pretty much the only thing you're going to be able to do. There's other things open in Orlando. You can get a lift, or if you bring your own car, you can drive over to Universal and do that. But other than that, you're just going to be given complimentary transportation to Disney Springs besides that Magical Express. And of course, you'll also have, when the parks open, bus transportation between the resort and the parks, just as you would expect. So they're going to reduce capacity too, it says. So you're going to experience delays in buses because they're going to reduce those bus capacities, probably skipping rows, things like that, keeping parties together. As you might expect, minivans not available, and valet service temporarily unavailable. And then it goes over some of the resort services that are either changed or modified during this time period. So let's look at some of the other updates here as we go along. And the next thing is select dining experiences will be available. You can see pools are going to be available, reduced hours, leisure pools 24 hours. They're going to have reduced capacity, things like that. Just modifications as you might expect as we go along here. So you can read through those again on the website, which I am going to post in the description of this video. They are going to have some new product launches, pin trading, all kinds of different things there, but dressing rooms not available. In-person returns will be available upon reopening of merchandise locations. So there are going to be some modifications, but a lot of that will be similar. Where you're going to see major modifications are things here that are temporarily unavailable. No arcades, that makes sense. Obviously, you've got kids playing arcade games and some adults. Definitely arcades are a high-touch surface area, and they just don't want to have to be sanitizing those machines after every use, so that totally makes sense. Campfires unavailable when they have those at different resorts, as well as Fort Wilderness. That would tend to gather people in a small, compact area, so that's definitely something they want to avoid. Character experiences, again, just to keep that social distancing in place. Dog parks. I think the electrical water pageant is not being offered while they do work on the upcoming bridge that's going to go over from Magic Kingdom all the way over to Grand Floridian. So I do hope they bring that back. It also might be to encourage social distancing where people aren't watching the water pageant too close together along the Seven Seas Lagoon. Marina rentals, pin trading, at least, now that's weird because on the other one it did say pin trading was available, but maybe just not special pin trading events, so that seems to be contradictory. But playgrounds is a big one, not available during this time period, and that's pretty common sense because, again, that's a high-touch area. You've got kids playing very closely together, and of course kids, especially younger kids, they really don't understand the social distancing. Even though their parents, I'm sure, have talked to them about it, they still see other kids, they want to play, they get excited, and so playgrounds, definitely something that obviously Disney wants to keep closed for the safety of all the children and all the guests. The spa, salons, and Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique will not be available. And then you see some other things here too, notably the fireworks voyages, cruises, all those kind of things, which might not be able to social distance, as well as some of the other experiences available around the resort. So you can read the rest of those. And I mentioned there were certain resorts that were opening. Not all the resorts were opening, but here's a list. You can see Bay Lake Tower, Boulder Ridge Villas at Wilderness Lodge, Copper Creek Villas at Wilderness Lodge, also Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge Villas, Kidani Village, Beach Club Villas, Boardwalk, Old Key West, Polynesian Villas and Bungalows, Riviera, Saratoga Springs, and the villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. So it's going to be pretty limited at first. And you can see it also talks about the phase reopening with Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom on July 11th, and then Epcot and Hollywood Studios on July 15th. And then you can also see Hilton Head and Vero Beach, which are kind of satellite resorts in different areas, will be open on June 15th. Vero Beach, by the way, I haven't been to Hilton Head, but Vero Beach is really, really nice. So if you haven't been down there and you're a DVC member, definitely check that out. Those are basically all of the updates that Disney has given us at this time, but really some major things to consider if you're still thinking about coming down here in July or August. I know a lot of people I've spoken with have canceled or modified their trips, or they'd like to wait until later because obviously the parks are going to be very different, as well as the resorts, all the things we just went over, until some of the COVID-19 crisis calms down a little bit and until they feel safe relaxing the social distancing recommendations and things like that. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of all these major changes to the Walt Disney World Resort hotels, as well as to the parks and everything else around the world. Let me know what you think, and if you'll be coming down or if you're rescheduling your trip. I'm interested to hear how many of you actually are still planning on coming down in July and August despite these measures. Totally understand if you still are coming down. Obviously, it's our happy place, and we all need a little happy now in these times, but also I totally understand if you're not coming down and you'd like to wait until the parks are more back to normal, fireworks in place, none of the social distancing or less social distancing, maybe no face masks required eventually when things calm down. So let me know, and also let me know what part of that is the tipping point for you. It's like, okay, a lot of people have said, well, I understand the need for face masks, but I just don't think that I can do that in the Florida heat. That's totally valid. It definitely isn't an easy thing to do, but just let me know what you think in those comments down below. But also be sure to follow us on social media. We're Resort TV 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And finally, be sure to check out our sponsors, MickeyBlog.com and MickeyTravels.com for the best and free Disney vacation planning advice. Go check out MickeyTravels.com to book your next trip to Disney. Also, if you're thinking about moving to Central Florida, talk to Victor Naraki at CelebratingFlorida.com or Facebook.com/Naraki Realtor and tell him that Resort TV 1 sent you. So for now, have a great big beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye. Now that you've finished watching this video, be sure that you're subscribed so that you can get all of the latest updates. Also, check out some other great videos on our channel. Have a great big beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye.